Hi everyone, a very good evening to all of you. I hope I'm visible and audible. If you could please confirm that. Okay, perfect. Now I can see myself, so I know that I am visible. Hello everyone, and I'm so glad to be back. So glad to be back with editorial, analysis especially. Hi Sonali, hi Pritikana. How are you all? How is the prep going? Yes, tell me that. So I hope that you've started taking some tests. Yes? In fact, we have launched our mock portal for you, right? So you can go to this website mocks.rodha.co.in and you can see our topic tests, our mock tests, right? And very important to take tests regularly, to analyze them. You already know this. I'm just reiterating it, right? So these are all the features of our mock portal. 30 full length CAT mocks, 105 sectionals, and of course we give you comprehensive video solutions, mock analysis, etc, etc, plus a lot of non-CAT, as we call them OMETs, a lot of OMET mocks as well, right? Okay, the prep is going good. That's very good to hear. Hi Farzana. All right, then what are we going to do today? So there is a picture that is going to come. I mean, there's a slide which has some pictures, and I'll ask you to guess what we are going to talk about today, right? Let's first talk about the source of this piece. So this article comes from the Graduate School of Business of Stanford, right? Their website. So GSB is Graduate School of Business, stanford.edu. Now, why have I picked up something from a university's website, from an institution's website? Because your RC passages in CAT, some of them have appeared from such sources, from universities' websites. That's why I have picked up an article from there, right? The genre is of course business because it comes from the Graduate School of Business's website, right? And the word count is your typical word count, 500 to 550, right? So 516 words. Okay, so are we ready for an editorial, for an article, for reading it, for attempting questions based on it? Okay, I am sorry, my picture is coming in way of one of the pictures, but I think I am able to show what I want to show even though my picture is coming in way of it. So can you guess what we are going to talk about from these pictures? Okay, so Nali says reflection, beauty. Yes, so perhaps it is something related. Okay, any other guesses? Anyone else? So here's a man who is looking at his own reflection in water. Yes? Thank you, Onyx. Happy to be back. Happy to be teaching. Flowers associated with beauty. Okay. All right. So, you are partially right. We are talking about, here in this picture, we look at a man, right? And this man is looking at his own reflection in water, right? Also, some of you said that maybe it has something to do with beauty because there are flowers, perhaps that's how you associated it with beauty. So this person here represents Narcissus. Have you heard the story of Narcissus? Yes, Greek mythology, anybody? Narcissus was a man who was very handsome. Okay, so he was self-obsessed. He was obsessed with his own beauty. And he would reject any woman who was interested in him. Right, so he would reject them all. In fact, there was this woman named Echo. So Echo, as you can see here, was also interested in Narcissus, but Narcissus rejected her as well. So the gods who were watching from up above, they were a little angry that, look at this man, he just keeps on rejecting women. What does he think of himself? So they cursed him. And what was his curse? That he was to fall in love with himself. Okay. He was to fall in love with himself. So one day he went to a source of water, a water body, and he looked at his own reflection and he fell in love with himself. Now, see, he was in love with himself, but of course he could not attain himself, right? He could not marry himself, so to say. So he stood there, he sat there, and he couldn't go away. Now, that's why after a while he died of starvation, thirst. So it's a lesson in not being excessively self-obsessed. The whole point of this story is that one shouldn't be extremely self-obsessed. So that is the story of Narcissus. Okay, now a word in English comes from Narcissus, which is narcissist. Yes, how many of us have heard of this word narcissist? Yes. Who is a narcissist? Someone who is self-obsessed, right? I'm sorry. Okay. So now, this Echo, this woman whom he rejected, from her name comes the word Echo, because Echo was also cursed, some unrelated curse. Okay, so Echo was also cursed that she could only repeat the words of other people. She could not say her own words. She was cursed by another woman named Hera. So the word Echo comes from Greek mythology. The word narcissist comes from Greek mythology. So it's a very interesting source to get into the etymology of various words, to get into the stories behind them. Now you're asking me for a source. There is a list that I may have. Okay, I will share its source with you, right? It has some words that come from Greek mythology, right? And apart from that, there's a series of stories. I now forget the name. I read it long back. It's a series of stories based on Greek mythology. I think if you Google it, right, Greek mythology stories, that link will come up on Amazon. So I have read it, पढ़ी हुई है मैंने, मुझे अब याद नहीं आ रहा है, ठीक है, मैं आपको सर्च करके I'll tell you. Okay, so narcissist सबको अब समझ में आ गया word. I explained this in such detail because this is a word that we'll be using throughout in our article today. A self-obsessed person, okay? And in psychology, in fact, there is a disorder called narcissistic personality disorder. So it's a legit disorder when people are so obsessed with themselves that they can't see anybody except themselves, right? So they are very egotists in that case. And why this flower here? What's the significance of this flower? No, Sophie's world does not talk at length about mythology. It's more about philosophy. So yes, for philosophy, Sonali, you can read Sophie's world, definitely. Okay, so actually the flower daffodil is also called the narcissus flower. Okay, so इसलिए मैंने यहाँ पर ये इमेज लगाई. डैफोडिल्स को हम नार्सिसस फ्लावर भी बोलते हैं, ठीक है. सो आफ्टर दिस स्टोरी, और रादर टू स्टोरीज, वन ऑफ Echo, वन ऑफ नार्सिसस, let's now delve into our article. Very simple language, read it. It talks about a study, okay, and then we'll attempt some questions based on it, right? So read this slide. If there are any problems, you can ask me, and otherwise also I'll sort of summarize it for you once you're done. But first you have to read. Start. Palatable is something that is acceptable. Done? Perfect. So, easy to understand? Yes? The first paragraph provides you a sort of a background, and how does it do that? By giving you examples of such leaders, right? And also of their qualities, and enumerating their qualities, naming their qualities. That's what the first paragraph does. Now, there are some vocabulary words, but again, they can be understood from the context. So, what do you think the word venerated means? Venerated CEOs. These are respected, highly regarded, excellent, yes. Esteemed, respected, that is venerated. Okay, now narcissists we know. Palatable, the word comes from palate. Yes, what is palette? I'm not talking about the painting palette, right? Uska spelling bhi alag hai. I'm talking about palette. What do you think it means? Yes. Palate. Is it related to taste? Anybody who thinks that it's related to taste? Let's see what you say. Yes, palatable. When I say something is palatable, I also mean that it is tasty, right? So palate is actually the upper part of our mouth, right? The upper part of our mouth, which has some sensors, taste sensors, right? Receptors, as we call them in biology. So something that is palatable, we will find it tasty, and something that is not palatable, okay, something that is less palatable or not palatable, will not find it tasty, or in a metaphorical sense will not find it acceptable. So palatable in a metaphorical sense means acceptable. So less acceptable qualities of the narcissistic personality type include entitlement, hostility when challenged, and a willingness to manipulate. And these are seen as part of the package. ये तो आएंगी ही आएंगी क्वालिटीज इनके साथ, अब कुछ नहीं कर सकते हम इसका, ये तो हमें एक्सेप्ट शायद करनी ही पड़ेंगी, राइट? दैट्स द आइडिया. नाउ सो see, whenever the author uses the transition word but, that means an important point is about to come. So you have to read this sentence carefully. But just hailing the 10% successful narcissistic leaders while ignoring the harm that a majority of them can cause is perilous. What is perilous? Yes. Perilous. A peril is a danger. Yes. So perilous is dangerous. Absolutely. Dangerous, risky. Correct. Argues this person, the Frankie Buck professor of management. Now this you can, breeze through. You don't have to pay a lot of attention to, okay, what is the position of this person, right? So this is the argument of a person. That means this is an important idea anyway, right? It's the main claim that this person is making. Now we get to know, okay, where is this person arguing this? In a new paper. So if I ask you what is the most important sentence in this third paragraph, what would you tell me? The most important sentence of the third paragraph. The first sentence anyway just talks about what they do. Yes. So it is the second sentence, of course, that is the important sentence. And again, see, you can breeze through this part. O'Reilly and two researchers from blah blah blah, right? These are just names and descriptors, so you can increase your speed when you read such aspects. But this you have to read carefully. What is their finding? What is it that they show? Okay, so they did some surveys, some field tests, and they show that narcissistic managers tend to prefer and create organizational cultures with less collaboration and lower integrity, and that their subordinates are more likely to act accordingly. Okay, accordingly means again less collaboration and lower integrity in line with that. So a very important finding, and then this kind of tells me why this person is saying that it is perilous to hail narcissistic leaders. Okay, let's read the second paragraph then, what is said further. And again, very simple, just 2 paragraphs. Read it quickly. Yes. Let me know once you finish. Okay, all right. Sonali, does it emphasize the findings, or does it show the process? How did what? So they conducted some surveys, right? The previous paragraph, the previous slide told us that they conducted surveys. So now it tells us the process of conducting those surveys, right? In academics we call it methodology. In research, this is called methodology. Their method of conducting the research. That is what this paragraph talks about, right? And this kind of emphasizes the idea that when we said that it is perilous when we hail narcissistic leaders. So why is it perilous? Because their effects, when narcissists assume positions of power, when they get power, their effects are hugely magnified. So because their effects are hugely magnified, that is why it is perilous to hail such people. So the first paragraph, yes, is sort of supporting this argument. The second paragraph is giving us the methodology. Okay. Any confusion here? Anything that you wish to ask? I feel that it is pretty straightforward. Okay, then can we go to the next slide? The last slide. All right. right. Done. All right. So, this paragraph, what does it give you? What is it stating? See, always pay attention to. Yes, it is telling us the findings of the study. So pay attention to these markers. They also found. So what was the first finding? So this says the study authors also found. Yes. So the first one here, this till here, this was the methodology. This was the first finding. Now I didn't tell you this because I wanted you to pay attention to this also found. Now when I say that they also found, that means the first finding is given before this, or there are other findings before this. So this is our first finding. The researchers found that people who were more narcissistic were significantly less likely to value integrity and collaboration. Okay, so this is our first finding. They also found that more narcissistic people were likelier to support policies and behaviors that reduced collaboration and integrity, such as being willing to look the other way on violations of company policy or promote people who were less ethical. So this is the second finding. How is it different from the first finding? The first finding also talks about collaboration and integrity. The second finding is also talking about that. So this is where active reading becomes important. Yes, you don't just have to pay attention to individual words. This is talking about what they value, what holds importance for them. क्या वो उसको importance देते हैं नहीं देते हैं इन values को, right? और यहाँ पर हम बात कर रहे हैं policies and behaviors जो वो support करते हैं, right? So there's a difference there. The first point is about values. The second point, absolutely correct Sonali, is about policies and behaviors that they support. And the third one is about people working for these narcissistic CEOs, right? So they would make recommendations that reflected less collaboration and integrity. So all the 3 points are about collaboration and integrity, but they're all saying 3 different things, right? So recommendations, this is about the recommendations that are being made by people working for narcissistic people. Okay. All right. Now, this here it says because the prototypic. So first of all, what is the meaning of this word prototypic? Prototypical or prototypic, they mean the same. I can also write it as prototypical. It's an adjective. So a prototype is basically the typical example of an object, a product. Basically prototype वो होता है जो हम in business जब हम एक product launch करने वाले होते हैं तो जो उसका हम उसका first piece create करते हैं for sampling in the market, right, which has all these qualities that we want in the product. That is called the prototype of the product. So prototypical simply means typical, the characteristics of a leader. The typical characteristics of a leader here are the prototypical qualities. Yes. So if I'm saying that because the prototypic visionary leader profile is so similar to that of a narcissist, what does this person mean by saying this? Yes, O'Reilly is saying this. What do they mean? How is the prototypic visionary leader profile similar to that of a narcissist? Has this been hinted at in the article? How the prototypical visionary leader profile is similar to that of a narcissist. Yes, in the first paragraph. So good. So now you're making connections, right? And when you're reading actively, you're able to make those connections. So see, they are valued for these qualities, right? Bold vision, extreme self-confidence, and determination to win at all costs, right? So these are the qualities that are hailed. To hail something means to hail something, to root for something, to praise something, right? To support something is to hail. Okay, so ये क्योंकि क्वालिटीज हम सोचते हैं कि विजनरी लीडर की भी हैं, पर ये नार्सिसिस्ट्स में भी होती हैं. सो इफ बोर्ड्स आर नॉट केयरफुल तो क्या होगा? They'll end up choosing people who are narcissistic as CEOs. So now see, this passage doesn't just have the structure of presenting the findings of a study or giving the main argument, right? It is also telling us about the solutions that the study presents. Okay, so that doesn't mean boards need to start administering personality tests. The author of this passage says ये solution नहीं है. Okay, and in fact जो author study किया उन्होंने भी ये कहा है कि ये solution नहीं है. What is the solution then? See, it's in quotes. That means ये study के authors बोल रहे हैं. A more direct way is not to hire anyone unless you have lots of data from previous subordinates about how they were treated. So this is a very effective way, in my opinion. If the person stole people's ideas, abused people, or was impulsive, those are all earmarks of narcissists. Yes, those are all the signs of narcissists. So this is the note on which this article ends, by offering a solution as well. Okay then, any query? Any query in any of these slides? Anything you wish to ask? So I hope you now have a sort of a mental map of this passage, because we also discussed what each paragraph discusses. And now let's go to the questions. Easy questions. Tell me, what should be the answer to the first one? Should I write down? Okay, so Sonali is asking this. So Sonali, if let's say you are a beginner, if you face a problem in grasping the gist of the passage, then this approach can work for a while as a crutch. But ultimately we have to let go of this crutch, because in the exam we don't have that kind of time, है ना? तो एग्जाम में उतना टाइम नहीं मिलेगा कि हम एक एक मेन पॉइंट लिख पाएँ. सो इसीलिए आई सजेस्ट दैट इनिशियली एज अ क्रच यूज कर लो, बट धीरे धीरे उसको मेंटल हैबिट बनाना है. दैट्स व्हाई आई कॉल्ड इट अ मेंटल मैप, right? It has a legit name called mental mapping. Okay, so this question says, I understand that it is difficult to remember. So initially क्या होगा, when you start with, let's say, reading, out of the 5 points that are given in an article, maybe you remember just 2 points. Okay, but what you can do actively is that, you know, after every article that you read, stop to ask yourself, okay, what were the key ideas, right? Don't note them down anywhere, but stop to ask yourself after every article that you read. Gradually you will realize, as you read more and more articles and as you constantly ask yourself this question, right, then it will be there in your mind ना कि मेरे को बाद में key ideas पता होने चाहिए. तो धीरे धीरे क्या होगा, 3 हो जाएंगे, धीरे धीरे 4 हो जाएंगे. So it improves with more reading and more questioning. Okay, now third slide, first paragraph, last sentence. Okay, third slide, first paragraph, last sentence. This one, finally. Okay, so let's see what you say for this question. If the findings of the study mentioned in the passage are valid, which of the following conclusions is best supported? Yes. All right. Okay. What about others? So I've just got what? 6 responses. What about others? No negative marking here, right? So you can answer. Okay. All right then. I've got 3 options. So I understand that you rejected B because of the word. Why did you reject B? Because of this word invariably. Invariably. Something that does not vary. Something that is always true. Right? So B says working under a narcissistic leader invariably diminishes employees' commitment to teamwork and fairness. So this makes it extreme. Okay. Also, we have discussed ethics. So fine, fairness, ethics, they could be considered related, but we haven't explicitly mentioned the word fairness in the passage. So that also makes this tenuous, doubtful. मुझे डाउट हुआ इस पे, और जब मैंने ये देखा तो आई अंडरस्टूड कि बी तो आंसर हो ही नहीं सकता, राइट? So read your options like this. You should understand each and every word used. For example, ambition in C. Is ambition discussed in our passage? They tend to impose policies. So इससे मुझे doubt हुआ because passage में क्या है? Support policies, right? They were likelier to support policies. अब यहाँ पर impose है तो थोड़ा सा doubtful है ये. And secondly, ambition has not really been explicitly discussed. So absolutely correct. This is out of scope. Okay. Now between A and D, why is D better? Why not A? Yes. What is your reason for rejecting A? I understand that, you looked at the study in an overall sense and you felt, oh, this is the overall conclusion. So of course this is supported. But my question to you is A supported? Is A supported? Not really. This is again extreme. How? People exhibiting higher narcissism endorse, this is definitive, no, that this happens. They are likely to endorse. They are likely to endorse, right? Okay, now Sonali, higher level of the levels of narcissism, they have been talked about, because this study, it involved looking at the level of narcissism. So level of narcissism हमने करा है जज, बट पॉइंट जो इसमें मेन प्रॉब्लम है ऑप्शन में वो ये वाली चीज है, बीइंग लाइकली टू डू समथिंग वर्सेस एक्चुअली डूइंग समथिंग, और ऑलवेज डूइंग समथिंग, और डूइंग समथिंग, दे आर ऑल डिफरेंट थिंग्स, राइट? सो आर लाइकली टू नहीं मेंशन्ड है इसमें, ये एक्सट्रीम ऑप्शन है. डी इज द आंसर, एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. दैट इज व्हाट द स्टडी इज ट्राइंग टू शो, राइट? स्टडी के मेथोडोलॉजी से हमें यही पता चलता है कि वो क्या देख रही है. It is looking at their level of narcissism and their leadership style. Okay, so it's trying to show that there is a relationship, and that's what it finds, that there is a relationship between the leadership style that they promote here, that they tend to prefer and create organizational cultures with less collaboration and lower integrity, and that their subordinates are more likely to act accordingly. ठीक है, समझ में आया ये? So this is what we practice, Sonali. Actually ये concepts हम बहुत बेसिक से पढ़ाते हैं क्लासेस में, राइट? एंड क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग में भी हम ये कवर करते हैं. देन वी हैव सेशंस ऑन द काइंड्स ऑफ ऑप्शंस दैट यू शुड एलिमिनेट. देयर ऑल्सो वी टॉक अबाउट एक्सट्रीम ऑप्शंस. सो दिस इज वॉट वी लर्न व्हेन वी बिल्ड आवर फंडामेंटल्स. ओके, all right, and this was an easy question, mind you, this was not a difficult question. Okay, question 2, which of the following if true, आपको इनको ट्रू मान लेना है, ठीक है? जब भी ऐसे ये लैंग्वेज है, इफ ट्रू मान लो इसको ट्रू. वुड कास्ट द मोस्ट डाउट on the results of the study cited in the passage. कौन सी ऑप्शन इसमें से रिजल्ट्स जो हैं उस पे सबसे ज़्यादा डाउट क्रिएट कर देगी, उनको वीकन कर देगी? दैट्स द क्वेश्चन. टेल मी. What do you say? Okay. All right. What about others? I've got just 3 responses so far. All right. So I've got just 5 responses, okay, and a lot of you feel that it should be A, and one of you saying that you're confused between A and B. Okay. Now, is A going to cast a doubt on the results of the study? It says there are instances of CEOs who are not narcissistic and yet don't value integrity and collaboration. So, what is the conclusion of this study? What is the conclusion of this study? It says that people who were more narcissistic were significantly less likely to value integrity and collaboration. Okay. Does it say this that people who are not narcissistic, they will definitely value integrity and collaboration? Does it imply that people who are not narcissistic will value integrity and collaboration? See, narcissism is one of the factors that can contribute to, or that can actually result in a person being less likely to value something. In this case, integrity and collaboration. Now, there can be other reasons also, no, behind this effect. There can be other reasons also. So let's say there is a person who is not narcissistic really, but this person is a very introverted person, right? उसको अकेले ही काम करना अच्छा लगता है, right? और वो ऐसे ही results लेकर आता है. In that case also, this person perhaps will not really value collaboration a lot. Then there could be a person who is not narcissistic really, वो self obsessed नहीं है, but वो बहुत ही unscrupulous है, let's say, बहुत ज़्यादा morally बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छा नहीं है, right? So in that case also this can happen. So the study does not say that only narcissism is going to lead to this. The study is simply telling us that people who are more narcissistic, they are significantly less likely to value integrity and collaboration. So there is a possibility that there are CEOs who are not narcissistic, but they don't value integrity and collaboration for some other reasons. So this does not weaken the findings, the results of my study, of the study cited in the passage. I hope this is clear. It's a very minute point here. So there can be instances means examples, there can be instances of CEOs who are not narcissistic, but for some other reasons they don't value integrity and collaboration, but that is out of the scope of my research. उससे मेरे research को hurt नहीं होता, ठीक है? So A is eliminated. Now, not everyone working 5 p.m. We meet on Wednesdays and Fridays 5 p.m. for our editorial analysis. Okay. B says, not everyone working for a narcissistic CEO will be concerned with acting in line with what such a CEO supports and likes. So does the study here says that everyone working for a narcissistic CEO will do this, will act accordingly? ऐसा बोला है क्या स्टडी ने कि सारे के सारे ऐसे करने लग जाएंगे subordinates? It just says that subordinates are more likely to act accordingly. Yes? It never says that everyone who is working for such people, who is working for such narcissistic people, is going to do that. So, again, ये weaken नहीं कर रहा. मेरी study ने नहीं बोला था कि हर कोई ऐसा करेगा. So, there can always be exceptions. So, now, see, this is a challenging question, okay? अब C या D में से क्या आंसर है? Tell me. Again, look at these options again and tell me what you think should be the answer. Okay, Onyx says C, Shanavas says D, Tabish says C. Okay, so look at what I explained to you for A, that there can be other reasons why CEOs are not valuing integrity and collaboration. So C again says there are many factors that affect decisions, such as promoting less ethical people or looking the other way on company violations. मेरी स्टडी ने डिनाई करी है बात कि is the study mentioned in the passage saying that narcissism is the only factor? It's not saying that. No, fine, there could be other factors. I am just saying that narcissism is one of the factors. My study is saying that narcissism is one of the factors. My study is not denying the other factors. My study is not saying that narcissism is the only factor. So ये मेरी स्टडी को हर्ट नहीं करेगा. अगर आप बोलोगे अरे बहुत सारे रीजंस हो सकते हैं, तो ठीक है, बहुत सारे रीजंस हो सकते हैं, मैंने भी डिनाई नहीं करा, मैं तो बस ये कह रही हूँ कि नार्सिसिज्म एक रीजन है. सो डी दिल्ली इज द आंसर, एंड आई नो डी दिल्ली देखने से नहीं लगता कि वो आंसर हो सकता है, बट इट एक्चुअली रेजेस अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कंसर्न. ओके, देखो मेथोडोलॉजी में क्या बात हुई है. एक मिनट, लेट मी जस्ट इरेज द इंक. So methodology says that these people, they were asked to rate themselves. Yes, basically 700 adults, they were asked to rate themselves on associated traits like arrogance, self-centeredness and a lack of empathy, okay, and leadership style. तो ये पूरा जो सर्वे है जो कंडक्ट हो रहा है, ये सेल्फ रेटिंग पर बेस्ड है कि मैं अपने आप को रेट कर रही हूँ. अब क्या ये ज़रूरी है कि मैं अपने आप को एक्यूरेटली रेट करूं? मे बी मैं अपनी अच्छी क्वालिटीज़ ओवरस्टेट करती हूँ, मे बी मैं बहुत अंडर कॉन्फिडेंट इंसान हूँ तो मैं अपनी अच्छी क्वालिटीज़ अंडरस्टेट करती हूँ और अपने नेगेटिव ट्रेट्स बहुत ज़्यादा ओवरस्टेट कर देती हूँ. सो इजंट इट अ पॉसिबिलिटी दैट दीज अडल्ट्स हु आर सेल्फ रेटिंग देमसेल्व्स, दे आर नॉट डूइंग सो एक्यूरेटली? And if they are not doing so accurately, if let's say there is someone who is not narcissistic but this person tends to think negatively of himself or herself, और वो बोल रहा है कि मैं हूँ narcissistic और हाँ ठीक है मैं नहीं करता लोगों को केयर एंड रिस्पेक्ट से ट्रीट, तो ये तो ओवरस्टेट करना हो गया ना. ये तो रिजल्ट्स को अफेक्ट करेगा, बायस्ड कर देगा. रिजल्ट क्या आएगा कि हाँ नार्सिसिस्टिक लोग ऐसा करते हैं, बट एक्चुअली में वो पर्सन नार्सिसिस्टिक है ही नहीं उतना. So this is a big problem with the methodology of the study. Okay, and sorry, here this question, this is a big problem and it highlights this problem. If I say that many people view themselves in an overcritical light when asked to assess themselves regarding negative personality traits, तो इसका मतलब जहाँ यहाँ पर सेल्फ रेटिंग आ गई, assess themselves, सेल्फ रेटिंग आ गई, और वो भी नार्सिसिज्म विच इज़ अ नेगेटिव पर्सनैलिटी ट्रेट, राइट. मेरी पैसेज बोल रही है इसको नेगेटिव पर्सनैलिटी ट्रेट मान रही है, राइट. दैट्स वाई इट ऑल्सो टॉक्स अबाउट पर्सनैलिटी टेस्ट्स लेटर ऑन. तो फिर तो स्टडी के रिजल्ट्स क्या हो गए, बायस्ड हो गए. ओके, सो दैट्स वाई डी Delhi. Onyx, the employee may or may not, it depends, right, the way we view ourselves. इसको बोलते हैं हमारा सेल्फ इमेज कैसा है, right. So there are certain narcissistic people who are not even aware that they are narcissistic. इसी को नार्सिसिस्टिक पर्सनालिटी डिसऑर्डर का पार्ट मानते हैं. काफ़ी नार्सिसिस्टिक लोगों को नहीं लगता वो नार्सिसिस्टिक है. तो अगर इस वाले स्केल पे मैं या इस वाले असेसमेंट में उन्हें रेट करने को बोलूँ, देयर इज़ अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि वो बोलेंगे कि नहीं मैं तो एरोगेंट नहीं हूँ, मैं सेल्फ सेंटर्ड नहीं हूँ. वर्सेस देयर मे बी पीपल हु हैव अ नेगेटिव सेल्फ इमेज. नेगेटिव सेल्फ इमेज मतलब अपने बारे में इतना अच्छा नहीं सोचते. सो इट इज़ अ पॉसिबिलिटी दैट वो एक्चुअली में एरोगेंट नहीं है, पर वो अपने बारे में ही गलत सोचते हैं, नेगेटिव सोचते हैं, और वो कह देंगे कि हाँ मैं एरोगेंट हूँ. सो दिस इज़ अ प्रॉब्लम विद सेल्फ रेटिंग्स. ओके, so I hope this is clear to you. ताबिश, अगर कोई अपने आप को ओवर क्रिटिकल लाइट में देख रहा है तो इसका मतलब है कि वो बोलेगा कि हाँ मैं नार्सिसिस्टिक हूँ, जबकि वो नहीं है. ओके, okay, yes, so this was a tricky one, right, and it was concerned with the methodology of the study. So actually में ना just कोई भी अगर studies हैं जो conduct होती हैं, there are multiple ways of attacking those studies. One of the ways to attack a study is आप उसकी methodology को question कर दो कि ये आपने experiment सही से conduct नहीं करा, आपका sample size bias था, आपका method ही गलत था. तो ये वो this is the method, this is the technique that has been used here. Okay, now let's have a look at the third question. Let me see what you say. ये बहुत difficult नहीं है in my opinion. Let's see what you say. Okay, others? I want more responses, come on. Okay, so this seems to be a unanimous C. All right. How did you choose between B and C? Ronit is more visible in the eyes of the CEO. Have we discussed this in the passage that visibility in the eyes of the boss is important for promotion, or are certain traits important for promotion as per the passage? B as unscrupulous, that's a very negative word. But aren't those some of those traits mentioned for these narcissistic people as well? Entitlement, hostility when challenged, and a willingness to manipulate are seen as part of the package. That means narcissistic CEOs have these traits. Yes. So, and what kind of employees do they promote? People who were less ethical. So now combine what we have discussed, okay? These are some of their own traits. These are some of the kind of people that they promote. Now let's come to this option, this question. What do you say then? B or C? A very easily we could reject because this person is ethical, right? Here, there is nothing that is unethical about this employee, right? About Nihal. Nothing unethical here. Just an introverted guy. This person is willing to bend the rules. So it feels like, oh, this person is unethical. Now it says for the larger good. It adds that caveat. It adds that condition. है ना? कि rules क्यों bend कर रहा है? For the larger good. It's not for their own, let's say, career growth. It's not that they don't have that ethical compass. It's for the larger good. उससे उनको लगता है कुछ भला हो रहा है, larger, right? Whereas look at this person. Do you feel that there is anything positive about this? If there is this person who is unscrupulous, manipulative, okay, a trait seen in narcissist people as well. A one-person army. So that means this person is less likely to value collaboration. This person will not value collaboration. This person lacks integrity. Okay, and narcissistic CEOs also don't value these traits. They don't value integrity. They don't value collaboration. Here there is still integrity. Integrity, why? Because you are bending the rules for the larger good, not for the sake of it. Okay, so this person, this is a high performing individual, has won many contracts for the company. This person is a one-person army, so probably does not value collaboration. This person lacks integrity, right? And this person is of course high performing, as we just said. So B, Bangalore is the answer here, not C. Okay, so B and C were the close options. I think A and D were easy to eliminate here. Based on your responses, I would say that this was moderate to difficult. When I framed this question, I felt that this was easy to moderate. Okay, so here I have learned something based on your responses. Okay, now the last question, easy, eliminate, you will get it. This is a direct question, okay? Direct hai. According to the passage, all of the following are true of narcissists except. तो क्या true नहीं है वो बताओ. Unscrupulous, so scruples means when you have morality, when you have principles. Okay, so unscrupulous, lacking any scruples, lacking any such principles, morality. Okay. 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 Others? Perfect. Absolutely correct. C is the answer. Now, this is stated, right? Empathy. This is how, in fact, narcissism has been defined for the purposes of the study. That what are the traits associated with narcissists? Arrogance, self-centeredness, and a lack of empathy. So, this is stated. They have a bold vision and extreme self-confidence. Go to para 1. It is stated there, right? I'm not even going back. It's there in para 1. Then, this here is stated in the last paragraph that they that how do you find out if they are narcissists, these CEOs? If the person stole people's ideas, abused people, or was impulsive, those are all the traits, all the hints, all the signs of narcissists, right? So this is also there. This, on the other hand, they deliberately reduce harmony and trust within their teams. See, this deliberately is extreme. Maybe it is the impact of their actions, it may be the fallout of their actions, but deliberately वो ऐसा करते हैं, chaos create करते हैं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं दे रखा passage में, right? So C is the answer. Absolutely correct, Onyx. So how was this passage for you? In terms of reading, it was easy. In terms of questions, how did you find it?